What are you talking about? I clearly had the advantage.
She broke your nose. Broken nose is not an advantage.
Oh yeah? What is it?
It's a broken nose, sweetie.
I had her on her back with a gun to her head.
Guns are cheating.
How are guns cheating?
You were doing fisticuffs. Guns are against the rules of fisticuffs.
There aren't rules to a fight.
They are when Fidget is around. Then you have to obey the Fidget rules.
Really? What are the Fidget rules?
Rule 1. No guns.
Yes, we covered that already. What's rule 2?
No fighting.
This argument is an extension of a conversation Fidget and I have been having for the past few hours or so. I recognize what she's attempting, but I make no plans to stop her. After the message left for me by Aria number 5, my head was left spinning, and my thoughts were growing darker by shades with every passing second. So, Fidget tried to cheer me up. That didn't work. In the end, it was Samantha who suggested a new strategy: to sit me down in the corner of a bar, keep feeding me with pork sausages and orange juice. I decline the alcohol, and start pointless and petty arguments. Apparently, that was a notable pastime of the last Aria, if such a thing could be believed. In the time since then, the bar was slowly filling up with more and more as the regulars began pouring in. Samantha and Scarlett rush about the bar, serving orders and delivering drinks. They're both on their feet, basically nonstop. I can't imagine trying to focus on so much with that much noise going on. I've disconnected from the bar's public broadcast zone. I can't listen to the music and the crowd all at once. I can barely listen to the crowd. The noise, the movement, and the lights just tighten the air around my head and send my balance into an absolute free fall. I've fallen on my face twice now in my attempts to get to the bathroom and back. But at least I don't have to have the music layered on top of all of this, nor the notifications and advertising. Samantha and Scarlett have no choice. They're using the PBZ to log food and drink orders, collect payments, and recognized 86th customers. Scarlett rapidly puts them out in the street. In fact, one particularly violent altercation is what spurred my current argument with Fidget. I commented about Scarlett's fighting and our own brief conflict from earlier in the day. I'm just saying you can't be expected to play by the rules in a fight, I continue, tapping my hand on the table in front of me whilst my other hand feeds a sausage into my mouth. I'm speaking with my mouth full, eager to launch back into my point, but not so eager that I'd slow down my eating.
Technically you can, but only if I have certain protocols unlocked,
Fidget says, her voice taking on a shifty tone. She's oddly uncertain about what she just said. Oh, you're definitely gonna have to follow that up with context. Hey there, beautiful, comes the voice of a stranger behind me. I turn to face the man, swinging on my stool. I attempt to smile, but I'm not sure if it's the bloodstains on my nose or the scraps of sausage hanging from my lips that scare him off. I allow myself a laugh and gaze across the crowd. It's strange talking to Fidget. I don't have to look at anyone. My eyes can wander where they like, and I'm not being rude. I'm not happy with hearing her in my thoughts, but I can certainly see the appeal of it.
You will get used to hearing me in your head eventually,
Fidget says. Damn it. I will never stop forgetting that she can hear my thoughts. Context, I say again.
Well, everyone who decides to keep their connection to the Mind Waver and HoloNet starts to think of me as one of their own thoughts. So, statistically speaking...
No, not context on that, Fidget, on what you said earlier.
I said many things earlier.
Fidget? My tone turns sharp, warning. Fidget goes silent. Samantha passes by, picking up my empty plate and setting down a new glass of juice. It's a murkier color. I eye Samantha with a brow raised. What gives? I said. This isn't orange juice. You drank it all, Samantha says. I hope you're planning on paying. Or Scarlett. Gonna be pissed. I finish her sentence for her. Why were we ever in a relationship? I ask. Seems like she never liked me, and it seems like I've never treated her well. Samantha shrugs. I never understood it myself. Didn't Didn't seem like you guys got much out of it. She starts to hurry back into the crowd. I yell after her, I did get something out of it. When Samantha turns, there's a quizzical, querying expression over her face. Oh? What was that? I laugh. A broken nose, apparently. Samantha rolls her eyes at me and pushes off into the crowd, only to turn on her heel and beeline directly toward me, face wild and marked with a deep concern. Aria, it might be in your best interest to be on your very best behavior. I lean back in my chair and spread my hands. Have I not been on my best behavior lately? I pout, innocent seeping off my extended lower lip. Samantha, unamused, points to the entrance of the bar, where a man has just entered. He's a big one. Thick arms, dark hair, and a piercingly sharp jawline. He's wearing coveralls, with a logo that Fidget's heads-up display identifies for me as the Analog Movement's logo. Why the warning? I ask. I guess he's my type, but I'm not really in that kind of mood right now. I hold up the not orange juice. I'm in juice mode. Samantha opens her mouth to deliver what I assume is her explanation, but she's cut off when Scarlett shouts, "Conrad!" from across the room and pushes through the crowd to greet him. She opens her arms, pulls him into a tight embrace, stands on the tips of her toes, and kisses him deeply on the lips. Wasn't she with some version of me, not too long ago? Yeah, but it wasn't official, Samantha says. That's Conrad, Scarlett's husband. I form a silent O with my lips, pieces falling into place. And then I halt, freezing my analysis of the situation for a more important question. Did you say his name was Conrad? You mean Conrad, right? Samantha shakes her head. I swallow a cough of laughter. Conrad's already a pretty dumb name. Conrad? Is just absurd. I shake my head and take a sip of my drink, watching Conrad and Scarlett break apart. She hurriedly leads him through the crowd, though there's something of a scowl on his lips. He seems pissed, I note. Samantha shrugs. Not surprising, since the last thing you said to him before you disappeared was that you were with his wife. I snort my orange juice back into the glass.
Gross.
Fidget says.
Didn't your mother ever teach you not to spit in your drink? And also, not to be in between a dearest and their dearest. Bad, Aria. Grr.
I did what? I ask, bewilderment wrapping around my mind. I get that the last version of me sucked, but that just seems way too much. Samantha sighs. Way too much is exactly who you were and how you did everything. Scowling, I look away from Conrad and Scarlett. I appreciate the past tense there. You're welcome, Samantha says. There's a momentary halt in conversation as we listen to the ambient sounds of the people in the bar. One corner has started singing along to whatever song is being played in the PVZ. Even Fidget singing along with it, softly in the back of my mind.
Sweet Caroline, dun dun dun, good times never seem so good.
I ignore the song and turn my attention back to Samantha, my gaze shifting between her and the bar where Scarlett is pouring Conrad a drink. I should go say something to them, I find myself saying. I didn't intend to say it, and I'm surprised to hear it, but it seems like I agree with the sentiment. Samantha holds up a frantic hand and shakes her head. Are you insane?
I must say,
Fidget says,
that you do seem to have found the absolute worst choice in this particular situation.
I shrug. Apparently, that was my strong suit. Yeah, Samantha nods. But if your goal is to apologize and say that you've changed, or whatever it is you're planning on telling them, then you'll struggle to prove that you've changed, because this whole situation is the exact type of thing the last version of you would have done. Maybe, I counter. The last version of me would have done it for different reasons. Selfish reasons, or violent ones. I'm not really sure. I wouldn't go that far, Samantha says. You weren't a monster. Just a dick. My point remains the same, I insist, pushing through Samantha and Fidget's objections. If I'm doing this for altruistic reasons, Then it's clearly a better choice than what the last Aria would have made.
That's a bad idea,
Fidget notes. What's the worst that could happen? Samantha taps her nose. If anyone could find a way to break your nose even more, it's Scarlet. I lean my head back and stare at the ceiling. So, what exactly do I do? Well, Samantha says, I'd recommend staying in your room for a little. You've still got legal rights to it. Crossing my arms, I look back to Samantha. Legal right? You said I've never paid any rent. Conrad and Scarlet could definitely kick me out. Well, normally, yes, that's what would happen, Samantha admits, raising up her index finger. But Scarlet's the one who's gonna say you have legal right to it. So she'll stand up for me? I say. Yes. My entire face scrunches up as I parse through this information. What in the name of God was our relationship? Great question, Samantha says, laughing. When you figure it out, tell me sometime. Fidget, I say, I need to ask you a question.
What do you want to know, Aria?
You're in everyone's heads all the time, right?
Yes. Yes, I am. As long as they're connected to the mind waver, of course.
So if I have any questions about Aria number 5, I could just ask you to pull up those files and tell me, surely. We don't actually need to go through all these vague recollections and muscle memories and confronting the pissed off weirdos of my past. Samantha frowns. Fuck you, I'm a delightful weirdo. When Fidget speaks next, it's in that ever-increasingly sing-song voice of hers.
Of course I can help you with that, Aria. Hang on a moment. I will pull up your files. Then you can ask me any question you want. Hold on. Just a moment. Pull up your file.
文件已锁定，想得美 Aria， 你不会这么容易就得到你想要的。但是如果你真的这么渴望得到新的信息，我将会给你一个提示。
Before I have time to even try and work out what voice was speaking and in what language it spoke, the heads-up display Fidget had been bringing up over my eyes vanishes, and suddenly everyone in the room groans. They all look around, staring at each other, then over to the bar with questions in their eyes. What's going on? I ask, gripping unconsciously to my walking cane and scanning the room, unsure of what I'm searching for, but concerned at what I may see. The public broadcast zone just turned off, Samantha says, her voice hollow, a little shocked. Fidget's systems are offline. Is that a thing that happens often? Samantha remains immobile. They can turn off for emergencies like mass rains, but we're always warned first. Something fuzzes and clicks in my head. I, and every occupant at the bar, grip my head as the sound of static tears through my thoughts. It's brief, sharp, and painful. Suddenly, music blasts through the air around me. Lights flicker, and Fidget's muffled voice is speaking in the distance. I can't make out what she's saying, but she's terrified. And then, after less than 5 seconds, it all stops. The music goes quiet, and Fidget's voice vanishes. The ambiance of the room returns, cautiously to its prior state, until a new voice cuts into the air. It's calm, official. My heads-up display, newly returned, identifies the source as an official Harmony emergency report.
This is an emergency broadcast. Please do not turn off this message. HoloNet services in all lower districts are being suspended for the next 7 hours due to an oncoming mass rain. The Fidget personality has been overridden for the sake of clarity of communication. In the last hour, the Harmony Weather Services confirmed a storm of mass rain bearing down on Harmony Valley's lower districts. Please seal your houses. Activate any waterproofing measures you may have bought from companies such as Corp. Those without access to these measures or without access to housing are urged to make their way to the storm shelters. Please be aware that there is unlikely to be space for everyone. Stay tuned as we present a safety guide for surviving the onset of mass rains.
As the broadcast begins to play, I turn to Samantha. I'm not sure what these mass rains are, but I'm guessing it's like you said, a normal emergency broadcast cutting off Fidget. Samantha says nothing. A chill runs down my spine. Right? It's never happened like that before, Samantha says. And more importantly, I cut her off, because I know exactly what she's planning to ask. Who was that voice from earlier? And what was she telling us?